So happy Thursday, everybody. I'm going to talk about the good news today. That I was when I was out today, I found out that killer, puppy and goat killer Noam got fired, which takes effect March 31st. And this is actually good news. The Democrats are celebrating, and maybe some Republicans, but I'll get to that in a few minutes. But first, I want to give you a nice update on my liver fatty disease. And the only reason why I'm sharing this on a on a podcast is because I want to bring the awareness to other people who may not know, because apparently I didn't even know this was a thing until it was. And the only reason why I found out about it is because I went and took a physical and it was in my blood test, and apparently there's something called the ALT, the AUS, and I was like maybe two numbers higher. The good thing is I'm very low risk, so I can still reverse it. And about a week later, I think I'm doing just that. And it's been very hard. But one of the things I've learned about myself here is that it takes a lot of willpower, because when you're used to having all these cravings of candies and sugar and soda and all this stuff, it becomes normal everyday things. In fact, we just had Purim, and Purim was the ultimate test for us, because that's the day that you can have a lot of, like, you have a lot of crap and a lot of drinks, hamantash and cakes and pastries and lots of food. And I'm using Gemini, which is Google's AI, to help me find out what I can and cannot eat. And it's probably not the best idea, but to be fair, it is giving me. It does link me to. It does post sources. It does have a link to see the sources. And I do post pictures of it, and it's telling me. So the other day, I posted pictures of my blood tests and my walks that I'm using through Samsung's app, and it's been telling me all A, B, and C. About how my blood level is good and telling me what I need and my fiber, and I'm keeping a track of telling Gemini, okay, now I'm on my second cup of coffee, or I take a picture and I'm starting like, oh, can I have this? Oh, can I have that? Or things like this, or I'm about to have a salad, or I'm about to make my breakfast of whole wheat bread with turmeric and tahini, and so it's keeping track of my fiber, my proteins, and telling me what I can and cannot have for the rest of the day. So in that aspect, it's helping me. And the whole idea is that when it came to Purim, which by the way is the Jewish Halloween, when it came to Purim, so I went to a catered meal, and they had a lot of great food there, I gotta tell you. And one of the things I actually did learn, because this is what I learned, is that they have a carving table, and on the carving table they had turkey, pastrami, and on the other table they had grilled baby chicken and maybe burgers, the meat, which was likely beef. And then on the other table they had like pasta. But I can't eat the pasta unless it's whole wheat pasta, so I stayed away from that. And then the other table had like sesame chicken or General Tso's chicken or something like that, and then some other fried stuff. And it turns out that the pastrami you have at a carving station or at a home is different than the cold cuts pastramis. It's different than the deli pastrami you would get at a store. And they're two different types of pastrami, and that one is good and one is not. And I didn't know that. And so when I was taking pictures of a lot of the things, it was something you can have this, you can have this, you can have this, but it's basically in a yellow zone. And so I had like two portions of the baby chicken, the grilled baby chicken uh, portions, and they were pretty small, really, like just small, tiny little slices, like pocket sizes. And then I had the pastrami, which Gemini said I can have. And and then it said to me, you can have Israeli salad because, has what you need in there: tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, the vinegar. Apparently, acidity is actually good. What I didn't know is that acidity has a lot of antitoxins in there that are actually good for the liver. So I had that. And then I said, can I have stuffed cabbage? Which she said, yes, I can have stuffed cabbage, but the sauces might be an issue if you want to like drip it out or drain it out, which I didn't feel like doing. And then we had another thing, which is I believe, a European thing, which is a fatouche salad. I don't know if anybody heard of them, which was also allowed for me to have, but then the cream was an issue, and I didn't want to, go around that either. So basically, um, I'm watching what I'm eating, and it's also been and I passed the ultimate test, because also next to me was soda. And I took a picture of both the soda and the seltzer and the water that was there. And the section was either have the water or the seltzer. And if you're going, and then I took a picture of the wine to see if I can have that specific wine. And it says, yes, you can have this wine because it's actually healthy for you because it's red grapes or purple, because they use the red grapes, which are healthy, but counteract that with the seltzer. And I was very fortunate that I don't have alcoholic liver disease because alcoholic liver disease is actually worse. And alcohol liver disease apparently you get from drinking over the daily limit, which yes, there is a daily limit, which I didn't know about. And then there are people, which I also know about, which is there are people who can drink and drink and drink, and it has no effect on them because it's just something that's in their genes, which is something I didn't know about either. And I guess alcohol liver disease is also what we call alcoholics. So I was actually lucky I didn't have that. The problem that I had there was I took the glass of wine, I drank it, and I had seltzer next to me, which I don't usually have to counteract that. So I took a drink of wine, and then I had like two sips of seltzer right after that, so which would counter effect the taste of the wine. So basically, I had one glass of wine, but I didn't feel anything because the seltzer was like absorbing it, and the seltzer was like it didn't feel like I had any wine. And when I'm drinking alcohol, I don't usually have seltzer next to me or water, and I'm not usually drinking that. So, and apparently, scotch is good for you because scotch doesn't have any sugar in it whatsoever. Um, so I kind of saw. So I did a thing after I finished the meal, and I let Jim and I know what I had to eat at the end of the day, and it turned out I did a good job navigating it. Like I said, there's no way to know if you take a blood test. But the fact that my friend, I went to see my friend today, and he said to me, you lost some weight. That just means to me that I'm doing a good job because you can't be losing weight when you have fat because you're gaining weight. And the thing is, when you're having when you have a lot of sugar, all the reason why I had to liver fat was because all that fat was stored was stored in the liver, and that's causes liver fatty disease because when that fat has no place to go, the liver's storing it, and the liver isn't equipped to store fat because that's not it's not its job to do that. And so you start getting all that weight. No matter what you do, you're going to keep gaining weight because you have that fat because you keep eating it. And what I really learned is that all of these candies have so much sugar. You have food starch, which is kind of a sugar. You have sugar in Myconex alone. You have sugar and corn syrup, which is obviously two types of sugar. You have confectionery glaze, which is another sugar. Um, you have a lot of sodium in there, which is 10 milligrams. And you have triglycerides, which is another form of sugar. And then you have another one, which is fructose, which is another form of sugar. So all of this could, and then having soda and all this crap, and not really. So I've been learning more about myself with Gemini because Gemini, I get to keep a record. She keeps a record for me, so I get to know what I've had and what I didn't have, and all of this. So it's really been really helpful. And the only reason I'm sharing this is because I want those people to be aware that this is something that happens in everybody. And and it doesn't really matter what age you are. And for me, I have diabetes in my family. And my father had diabetes. My cousin has diabetes. I'm lucky that it skips a generation, but still, be cautious. And you know what? I used to wake up in the mornings feeling with a bad stomach ache, and and the first thing I would do in the morning is go to the bathroom. Now I wake up in the morning and my stomach feels fine. And I don't have to. And the only bathroom I'm doing is, taking a pee instead of the other one, and that's pretty good because based on and I asked Gemini, why is that? Just because you're changing your diet and you're watching what you eat, and it's still processing the fiber you add. And basically, I'm eating a lot more fiber. I'm spending a lot more money than I would normally on food, but that's something that I have no choice. I'm eating stuff I normally wouldn't eat. For instance, I just bought kumquats. Today was the first time ever I've ever ate a kumquat. And I was in my friend's store and said to me, "You eat them with the peel." I said, "All right." And I ate these kumquats, and I asked Gemini, "Can I have a kumquat?" And Gemini says, "Not only can you have the kumquat, but they are very rich in nutrients." And I just want to give an example here of what I've been doing here. So I went to the store to buy some lunch, and it says, and it's telling me, um, I was asking it earlier if I can have like, so for lunch I had a Japanese eggplant tomato wrap, and for that it said your liver status is the eggplant is working to reduce oxidative stress while you eat. It's still holding strong at 1 gram, and then since I walked, that benefited. And what I found out also is coffee is actually one of the most well studied superfoods for the liver. It contains antioxidants that reduce inflammation, has been shown to slow the progression of liver scarring, which is fibrosis, which would be the next level should I not be taking care of this. But the caveat comes to the trade-off, which is to keep that 1 gram added sugar streak alive, just to make sure that it is sticking to the stevia or monk fruit, which is what I have, and I'm using the 1% low fat on that. Um, and it's something that for today I have 11.5 grams of fiber to go. And for dinner I have a mushroom barley soup and egg salad coming, which is about 25 grams by the time I'm done, which means I should have a Quest bar, which is about 13 to 14 grams of fiber, which won't just hit the gull, it will crush it, and that'll be putting me at 40 grams for the day. So it's basically, so it's basically telling me what I need to know, and I'm keeping this log. And I just want to go up with the kumquats because I've never had a kumquat before. So the tasting of it is like a very sour, bitter kind of a thing that has a taste in your mouth after. So it's basically shopping my phone. And then I bought a seared salmon. And kumquats are, and I just found this out now, kumquats are excellent for the liver, and they are one of the best functional snacks you can pick up where I went shopping. And then it links me to a site called naturalpoland.com. And then it says, since you are focused on reversing fatty liver and hitting your 30-gram fiber goal for today, here's why they should go in your cart. Unlike oranges, where you discard the peel, you eat the whole kumquat. The peel is where most of the fiber lives, and that is another link called netmets.com. The stat is 100 grams of serving, about 5 to 6 fruits, has a whopping 6.5 grams of fiber. So if you snack on a handful of these tonight, you'll knock out almost half. So, and that comes from another site. So research shows that kumquats contain specific antioxidants like flavonoids and vitamin C that help reduce liver enzymes. They can help lower my ALT and AST levels, which is where my blood wasn't doing well at all, which is where this happened. Um, and that can reduce the liver stress. It also fights oxidative stress, which is the oils in the skin, help protect your liver cells from damage while our body's working to process fat. And they also naturally low in sugar compared to other foods, which keeps your daily added sugar at 1 gram. The weight loss edge at about 70 calories per serving, they are a high volume snack. The tartness also helps curb cravings for something that I saw earlier that I wanted. So, so I'm learning that the protein, you know, between the protein bars and the Quest bars and my IQ bars and my Kind bars that I'm eating, and it turns out that sashimi is the best type of sushi to have during this. So so like I said, I'm learning a lot about nutrition through the internet, and I'm only bringing this up to people because again, I want people to know uh, that if like you should check yourself out. that you should check yourself out, and you should be mindful, and um, that if it's detected early, you can actually reverse it very quickly if you follow the diet. What I'm following is a Mediterranean diet, which is a lot of greens, which is peppers, turmeric, black pepper, garlic powder, onions. Turns out onions are actually good for you. Turns out citric acid, vinegar, lemon juice. These are all good for you. Turmeric is known to have great, great stuff. Whole wheat bread. Every once in a while, you could probably give yourself a little treat. And I found that you can have Orbit gum because it's sugar free, so I'm doing that. I bought at Target. I bought this one brand called Wonderful, and it's lightly salted, and it's lightly salted. So this is actually good, and they already have no shells on them. So that's pretty good. They're called Wonderful, and I bought them at Target. So if you're looking for something, and they are non-GMO, they're gluten free, and they're heart healthy, and it's basically good for what I need it for. And they're dry. It's got sea salt, and it's just dry roasted pistachios with sea salt and no shells. And it's about 3 grams of fiber, 2 grams of sugar, which is okay, 6 grams of protein. So you've got your so this is pretty good if you eat it in moderation. And it's 50% less sodium than their roasted and salted variety. And the likely salty contains 65 milligrams of sodium per serving, and while the roasted contains about 135 milligrams of sodium. So usually it's an issue of salt. If you're looking to get something on a diet, Wonderful Lightly Salted. Wonderful is a great brand to get, and I only found it through Target, so you can get that. I'm also eating a lot of blueberries. In fact, yesterday for breakfast, I bought from Target for the first time ever. I'm having Phage yogurt, which is without the 0% milk. I had that for breakfast yesterday. I mixed in some strawberries and Special K cereal, the almond and vanilla kind. And I mixed that in with the strawberries and the yogurt on my breakfast, and that was my fiber alongside my coffee. So that was pretty good. Um, and then and if I need to eat something, I nosh on the gum, which also you got to be careful with because it has some sugar alcohol. Um, and then I eat some pistachios. Although last night I was feeling a little bit bloated, so I didn't do that. And I just bought myself some thin rosemary crackers for fitness, which is whole grain, which is the number one green. So, I'm eating things I normally wouldn't eat, like broccoli. I usually eat that with duck sauce, because I don't like broccoli at all. I made something called leche yesterday, and I mixed all the greens and the onions and peppers into the eggs, which made the eggs green, but it tasted differently, obviously. I had that alongside, you know, frankfurters that were chicken based with no sugar, no salt added. So that was pretty good. So my health is pretty good. I'm taking care of my health, and I'm just saying, you should get. I'm saying, you should get your health checked. You shouldn't be afraid. I know there are people who don't want to go to a doctor, who don't believe in doctors, but again, it's very important to get your blood tested. It's very important to get a physical, and it's very important to take care of your health because without a liver, you'll be dead. Because the liver is a functioning body part that actually you need to survive. And if I don't take care of it, I can get fibrosis, followed by cirrhosis. And once you have cirrhosis of the liver, you're pretty much done, you know, and you can pretty much kiss your life goodbye. So I'm doing what I can. And because I'm a low risk and detect it early, I have a very good chance, and I have a goal to get rid of liver fatty disease before Passover for obvious reasons. Um, so hopefully I'll be able to do that. I'll go for a blood test before the month is over. But if people are starting to see that I'm losing weight, then obviously it's working because the only way you can lose weight is if your liver is getting rid of the fat that it was storing. And because it's getting rid of the fat, it's a lot lighter now. And so when the liver is lighter, you don't have that much weight on you. When you lighten the load, you know, it's easier to carry. Same thing here. When the liver lightens its load of the fat, you're losing the weight because nothing is being stored and blocking. So if people are saying I'm losing weight, I'm about 173. On my last check, I was 173 pounds. So if I go down to say like 160, And I'll know for sure because I have this pair of dressy black pants, and every time I put on it, they're very tight on me. So if I'm able to get into them tomorrow or whenever, I'll know that something is. I'll know that my job is work. That I'll know this is working. So I'm going to keep updating you because it's also important. Because it's important. I want people to know. I'm 46, and I'm still young in human years. You know, um, so people should just get. And yes, this can happen, by the way, in both male and female. This isn't just a male thing. This is both male and female. It just will react differently. Watch what you eat, and because I have diabetes in my family, so this is actually important to me. So watch what you eat, get yourself checked, and if you need any advice, you can leave me a comment. You can leave me a message. I won't bite. I will respond to you. I can even give you screenshots of my conversations that I've been having. I can give you some tips. Um, so yeah, just do that. Anyway, so just do that because it's really really important um, to do. It's really important. So if you need that, just by all means. And I'm really and then I also have some vitamin C vitamins I've been taking in D3, but that's been prescribed. But that was prescribed by my doctor for other reasons that have nothing to do with my liver. That has to do with the fact that it's just healthy to take, and when there's no sun, you get vitamin D from the sun, but not enough. And when there's no sun, like you know, here in New York, here in New York City, it's once again lousy weather, and so when there's no sun, you take some vitamin D3, and then vitamin C is just good for you overall. So, which is odd that I can't have orange juice, but that is what it is. So yeah, that is my. So I don't really have a goal. My goal in terms of weight loss or things like that, my goal is to basically reverse the liver fat and go back to normal. Um, But if I lose weight in the process, then obviously that's a good thing. And, I'm healthy because I'm able to go to the bathroom on my own still. And by the way, which is a kidney problem, but I'm able to go to the bathroom alone. I'm able to do everything alone. So it's all good. So I'm happy. So I'm happy that everything is working as it should be. And I'm happy because, I never, this is the first time I discovered kumquats. And you know what? I heard of kumquats before, but I just never ate them. And I'm eating, and I have to, and also Granny Smith apples are good because it has something called pectin in it. So that's actually good for you, and that'll actually fill you up. So I bought these small Granny Smith apples, and I have a whole wheat bread, and they have specific kinds, but I didn't really buy the one that I was supposed to buy because I don't see them anywhere where I go. So, but yeah, kumquats are good. It's an exciting taste treat. Eat it all. Sweet peel and tart pulp. And then I guess you can make kumquats, I guess kumquat soup, I guess. Kumquat chicken, I don't know. Um, and then I bought these organic seaweeds that I didn't really like, so I just put them aside and basically got, let them be thrown out. So yeah, anyway, um, I'm doing a lot of walking. I'm keeping track of that. I'm not. I have my bike next in front of me, but I'm not taking them. I have blueberries in front of me. I've been eating red grapes, but actually black grapes are actually better than red grapes. But I found out also is that green grapes are good for you, but not for what I need them for. Green grapes have vitamin C in it, but they won't help for the liver. You can do that with red or black grapes, and I've been eating red grapes, but they said black grapes are better, so I'm going to be eating the black grapes, and in fact they just came now um, in my delivery. So yeah, so that's my podcast for the liver. And like I said, if you want to have if you're going through this or any question, have any questions about the comments, please feel free to let me know. Please don't hesitate. I can give you pointers. I can tell you where to go. I can tell you what kinds of food are good. Now that I speak from experience, also the idea is to drink a lot of water and stay very hydrated. Which I'm drinking coffee, which is very good, and this is my third cup. But at 5:30 in the afternoon, I probably wouldn't be drinking a third cup of coffee, but it is what it is. And this coffee is actually from this morning. I was just sitting on my desk. But anyway, yeah. Um, But yeah, I was going to make this podcast a two in one, but I don't want to because they're two different subjects, and this is a health, and I was just making this podcast just to make other people aware of it, and that's it. So if you have any questions about your liver, or if you have any health, or you're feeling faint, or you're feeling tired, or whatnot, I'm recording my sleep also, which is pretty good for the liver as well. Right now, I'm at 6.5 hours of sleep, which I guess is good. The recommended is 7 to 8, between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. So I'm on the threshold with that. Um, so that's it. So hopefully, I'm doing everything right. Hopefully, the real challenge once again is Shabbat. Once again, the whole thing is and because when Shabbat, I go to someone's house and they have a lot of meal. But at this point, like last week, it was a big issue last week. But I figured that if I'm already a week into it and I'm doing pretty good, I'm pretty sure that I can. And most of the stuff that I go through, and most of the stuff that I have there is a lot of homemade stuff. But pretty much knowing that I can have the pastrami and the chicken, I can eat the chicken as long as I take off the skin if it's regular chicken, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Um, and again, chicken soup is good, provided you don't put in the matzo ball. Um, no salt, no croutons. Really, tomatoes are good for you, so I have a tomato salad with vinegar in it. Uh, most dips are good. Tahini's good. Baba ganoush is good. Eggplant is good. All of this is really, really good in moderation. So we'll see what happens, and I'll update you then. Um, so I hope you're enjoying these medical updates. I don't usually do them, but it's important enough to share it. So, and also, I'm not only am I learning more about myself, but I'm learning about new foods, new types of foods. I'm eating stuff I normally wouldn't eat, and I'm also learning about how the body works. So and if it's making me healthier, then the whole thing is worth it. And if it makes my liver, and if it fixes my liver, then it's totally worth it. And if I get to live another day, that's even better. So, and that's why this administration, with their medical and everything, and people are listening to them, it's the bad idea because you cannot take advice from a guy who has no medical degree, no medical knowledge, no medical license. You cannot take his advice when he doesn't know anything he's talking about. And when you have a guy running on while he took coke, while he was sitting in a bathroom on a bathroom toilet, well, that's not exactly what you want to hear from anybody. Even a doctor wouldn't say that, considering that it's not even relevant to anything. So when they say don't get vaccinated because of this, okay, but don't but that's your belief. Don't put it onto other people. Health is very important, and when the country is being run by somebody who has no business running the health department, that's a problem. And so we're on our own, and that's exactly what I'm doing, learning on my own and doing what I need to do. And my doctor always to me was change your diet. And I said to him, what? He says, just don't eat a lot of the crap anymore. So basically, that's what he said. But basically, I'm on my own. And so I'm using Gemini, and I'm guessing, and without her, I would have been lost. Without her, I wouldn't know anything, and I wouldn't know what's going on. So believe it or not, AI can be used for good because it does teach you things you didn't know before, and it links you to sites you probably wouldn't have known about otherwise. So yeah, AI is good, but AI is bad too. It's a double-edged sword. It's just a matter of how you want to implement it. It's also good for fun. I used AI to have fun also when I'm bored. So there's that. So that's my podcast about my liver update. Um, and it's about a week now since I found out about it, and I started immediately. Last week was when I had my sonogram, and now it's a week later. Actually, a week ago yesterday, I should say. Um, can a lot happen in a week? Yes, but am I still there yet? We'll find out when I take my blood test uh, before the month is out, and I'll let you know. So stay tuned.